Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Mentor Asia Pacific. I am Alvin Sanga and we are here at the Summer Towers, the beautiful Summer Towers. So we are interviewing Mayana Welch, and so we're going to get on to the questions. Mayana, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah.
So share one thing that most people might not know about you.
There's a lot of things that I think people don't know about me, but one of my favorite things is people don't know that I'm half Micronesian. Traveling and around the world, not a lot of people know about Guam, Saipan, and all of Micronesia, so when I say I'm half Micronesian, people are blown away. I actually made some money because I walked into this one place and people had a bet on what my ethnicity was.
Oh, okay.
And I got a bunch of people betting on French, Italian, Middle Eastern involved, maybe it's like that. I don't know why, but they had a bunch and I said, well, what if you all are wrong? What do I get? And they're like, you get the pot. I was like, cool, Micronesian.
So you said half Micronesian.
Yeah.
So what's the remaining? What's
the other half is just white. My dad's like a mixture of British, German, European.
Okay, right on. Okay, so Mayana, you are, is it still raining?
No, I just passed my crown down a couple months ago.
Okay, so what's your story? How did you get there? What else are you doing? You know, share more things about yourself.
I started by graduating from college 9 years ago, and I graduated in business and majored in finance, and I thought I wanted to go work for the big banks. I wanted to work for Deutsche, and I had this plan. And then all of a sudden my plans were completely thrown out the door because I realized that I was just so unhappy with the choice of going to work in a bank. And so I started traveling the world, and I just wanted a bigger perspective on what I could do and what I can learn. And I took international modeling contracts. I modeled for MAC Cosmetics, Apple, Lame. I modeled for big brands. I was featured in multiple magazines, and then I modeled in New York, LA, and from that I learned that I don't want to model. I found that I hated it so much because I had so little control, so little power over, how much I can make, what I can do. And so after a couple years of that, I was like, my passion is something that I can create because I'm an artist. So I started creating and created several businesses. I had an artistry business, I created a marketing business, and a couple failed. And I did a jewelry business, and I lost a lot of money at the beginning, and then it was ups and downs, and I started to wonder if this was really for me. But the thing that answered that question was every day I woke up, I was like, how can I make this better? How can I fix this? How can I improve what I'm doing with my life? And it always led me down the path of just starting businesses.
So you talked about school and finance. So you talked about being a model, and now you're talking about being an entrepreneur and opening your business. Wow, diverse set of skills that you have. So in between, traveling and all those items that you just shared with us, what were some of the struggles that you may have had in each of those categories, or in just one of them?
So I'd say there were a lot of struggles. One of the main ones was when you decide to live out of your suitcase, you better plan on just living with a few things that you can fit in your suitcase. So every time I'd pack up to leave and go to another location, I had to leave behind shoes, clothes, everything that, I just had to cut my attachments to them and understand that if I want to live a life where I'm always traveling, I have to be okay with having very little. So for the longest time, I had maybe 10 shirts, 10 pants, and I just had, and every time I bought something, I had to think about, what do I have to give up in order to fit this into my life? And
so what do you swap out, right? What
yeah.
are you swapping out?
So it's a very minimalist life, and I try to still do that with my life. So when I do get something, I make sure it's something I really love. One of the main struggles is just also finding someone else that is as business-minded, and a lot of people really want things the easiest, the easiest way possible, and so you'll find yourself running into people who don't work as hard, or who feel like they've done a lot and expect more in return. It's almost like when you try to work with people, you have to understand that it's your baby and no one will ever treat it as well as you. And so you have to learn how to treat people with the kindness and respect to keep them interested, to keep them going. And a lot of times you just have to understand that people will not be able to give as much as you can. And if you find someone who does, hang on to them because they are freaking keepers.
Partner for life.
Yeah,
Partner for
hang
life.
on to them.
Okay, so you shared some of your struggles. So, of course, along the way, there were people that inspired you, that pushed you to be who you are today. So, do you want to share one or two mentors that helped you along the way?
One was my finance college professor. His name was Wise. And it's kind of funny, his name was Wise. But I just remember I wasn't sure what I wanted to major in. And then I was just kind of like checking out classes. I was like, maybe I'll be an accountant. Maybe I'll be like finance. Maybe I'll just do international business. And it wasn't until my first finance class where I was like, holy crap, this is where I want to be. And he was a huge influence because, people think finance is all about like numbers and moving money. And it's really not about that. It's really more of an art. Finance is more about like figuring out like where the economy is going, where you should put your money so that it'll be an investment for the future, and just like really understanding the way the market kind of flows. And he helped me choose that major. I have a kuya, and it's funny because like I grew up with a large Filipina influence in my life, and so my kuya is not actually my brother, but I call him kuya because he's basically like my brother. And he influenced me a lot because when I was a teenager, like when around like 15, 16 years old, I just remember he was so into computers and so nerdy and so like techie, and I was just like, dang, that is so cool. And I wanted to just learn everything that he knew. And it's just funny because now he's a professor at Berkeley. He hacked an unhackable firewall and was featured on CNN. He's just brilliant. And that's when I realized that I'm like an undercover nerd, and I really I geek out on everything. Like you'll see like my phone, my computers, they're always like techie. Like I don't have an iPhone, I have a Pixel. And people are like, oh, that's super nerdy.
We're going to think back 10 years. So picture yourself 2008. And knowing where you are now, what advice would you give yourself to fast track it, or if you're happy with the way it was, what advice would you still give to yourself?
I would tell myself like not to feel so much pressure. I thought that out of high school I had to be perfect. I had to have, go to college, do this, do that. And in my opinion, I feel like it was very important that after college that I wanted to travel the world. But I feel like what would have been a lot more beneficial for me was to travel the world in a very short amount of time and then really settle and focus on what it was that you wanted to do. I feel like I traveled for 2 years, and a lot of that was just kind of like time to find myself, time to, grow into my own skin. And that's nice. I just wish I would have been able to tell myself who I wanted to be, like instead of spending like a whole year of just like trying to figure out what it is I wanted to do with my life.
Okay, so let's go the opposite direction. So let's project now. So we're gonna go 10 years plus. 2028. So where do you project yourself being?
I definitely want to have a family by then, and I see myself still going down the route I'm going. Like, I want to get more into e-commerce, drop shipping, understanding more of the logistics side of what I'm already doing, and just educating myself. Every day I'm always learning. Like I considered getting an MBA and like going to get CFA, but like I don't know what I would do with it with the business that I have. What I do know is that what I do need to learn, I can teach myself off of YouTube, off of Udemy Academies. And so don't feel like a lot of pressure to go back to school and get like labels and get like all these certificates, because honestly I know people who are the top of their game and they didn't even go to school. But teaching yourself through even YouTube, I'm almost like a pro at Photoshop just off of YouTube. Like, because I was so determined. The question is like, how bad do you want it? Like, how bad do you want to learn something? And if you want it bad, nothing can stop you.
Is there anything else you wanted to share offhand, or?
It's so important as like a young person to kind of figure out exactly who you are and where you want to go, and just you know, go hard, go like 1000%. And then if you're like, oh, you know what, maybe that's not what I want to do, then find something else and still go hard. Just always be achieving, always be like leaning towards something, and don't be distracted by, you know, drama or like, you know, the now. Like people get so consumed with like what's happening now, like what are people thinking, what am I wearing, like, and those things are like, they're fun, but just don't let it distract you, because there is an end game and it does get better.
Yes, so keep moving forward, guys. Keep moving forward. All right, guys, I want to thank Mayana for being on the show today. So that's another episode of Mentor Asia Pacific. Signing out. Thank you very much. Thanks, Mayana.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, guys, for tuning into Mentor Asia Pacific. Once again, I'm Alvin Sangha. Check out all our social media. That's going to be linked down below. Stay tuned. More mentors are to come. We're going to be releasing a mentor every week. And please leave a comment down below for any mentors that you'd like to be featured on the channel. Any business professional, entrepreneur, or anybody that you believe is inspiring and can provide to be a mentor for the youth of Guam. Until next time, thank you very much. Sangha out.